People's kid, how we doing? It's your boy Kobe back at it again with another video, and as always, I hope you guys are having a blessed day. First and foremost, Happy New Year to everybody out there. I hope you guys are doing well, had some good time with friends and family over the holidays. Been a minute since I've been on YouTube actually, and I just want to say real quick, it's great to be back, and I'm happy to have a platform to share my thoughts on hoops. Of course, I've been keeping up with the NBA, but as a proud Duke alum, I've been glued on the 2018-2019 Blue Devils squad, and even had to go down to Cameron Indoor to catch a game for myself in person. More or less, I had the same thoughts as many covering Duke this year, including the opinion they are one of, if not the best team in the entire country. Without a doubt, this is mainly because of the fabulous freshmen that have come to Durham this year, and the biggest celebrity out of them all is none other than Zion Williamson. Now, Zion and the crew have been fantastic this season, and deserve every bit of praise that is given their way, but I've noticed some weaknesses that will be used against him and Duke once conference play begins and stronger scouting has been applied. So with all that said, let's hop right into the video. Every few years, a player comes out of the woodwork from the high school basketball landscape that takes the whole community by storm. As we all know by now, Zion Williamson is a charismatic, explosive hooper that looks more like he should be playing on the football field. Despite the electric play from RJ Barrett, Reddish, and Tre Jones, I believe Williamson has proven he is the best and most important player on the squad, so it's fitting to discuss his player profile first. Beyond the athletic build that I think is only comparable to a young Shaquille O'Neal or LeBron James for its uniqueness, Zion clearly possesses the feel and skill of a future NBA All-Star. Averaging 20.4 points, 9 rebounds, and 2.4 assists a contest in only 26 minutes a game, Zion has brought a presence to this Duke team that gives them a second level gear on both offense and defense. Due to Coach K's emphasis on allowing for his most talented players to play multiple positions, we have seen Zion on both the low post and wing through much of the non-conference. As you would expect, Williamson is simply too much to handle on the interior and laughably overpowers anyone who tries to play him straight up. From observation, I would estimate around 50% of his points are pretty much brute force layups where he creates space by just outmuscling the opponent. When teams do finally decide to bring the help, Zion has been a willing and able passer, taking his time to properly dissect the hole in the defense and make the correct read. On the perimeter, Zion is almost nearly as effective when he decides to attack the paint, ranking among the nation's best in isolation scoring. Although he predictably loves coming back to his left on many of his drives, Williamson also utilizes an explosive jump stop where he often sidesteps multiple defenders to elevate above the rim. Despite being the most efficient offensive player on this Blue Devils team by far, Zion's most important value might actually be his impact on the defensive end. Defensively, Zion has made it a point to leverage a significant physical advantage by being one of the hardest working players on the floor, as he's not afraid to throw his 285-pound body around and dive for loose balls as well as come down with ridiculous rebounds in traffic. Due to impressive lateral quickness, Williamson has no problem switching between guarding smaller and larger players from time to time when Duke is playing man-to-man, hugely benefiting their defense against the pick and roll. And of course, I would be lying if I didn't mention his chase down blocks in transition didn't remind me of a certain someone currently playing in the league. Now, putting all that praise aside for Mr. Williamson, it's not hard to see there remain some flaws in his game that will be exploited in the NBA. Starting with the most obvious issue, Zion is currently working with a broken jumper that will impede any superstar potential if left unattended to. For all the casual fans that caught Zion nail his first three-pointer against Kentucky, you might not know he is shooting 16% from distance and only has 2 other threes to his name on the entire season. Whether it be his form or not, I must admit the shot making is the one aspect of Zion's game that reflects a bit of shyness from the 5-star prospect. As any average scout will brief their coach of Williamson's struggles with perimeter shooting in the future, you can bet there will be times throughout conference play where opponents are just daring Zion to shoot and would just rather clog the paint to cut off driving lanes. Unfortunately, as the season has gone on, I believe opposing squads have proved to be somewhat successful so far to neutralize Williamson at times in the half court utilizing the strategy. But it's not that just Zion is having issues with shooting on this team. Sadly, this entire Duke team is not nailing threes with the same frequency they have in years past, and it is impacting their entire half court offense. Despite producing 24 turnovers in a top 12 matchup against Texas Tech, the Blue Devils barely prevailed as a result of missed shots and indecisive action on handling Tech's defensive strategy, shooting a dreadful 3 for 20 from the three-point line. If it wasn't for Tre Jones, who I personally think is the second best player on the team for his incredible on-the-ball defense and unbelievable knack for timely plays as a freshman, Duke would have absolutely lost that game. Moving over to the other freshman, RJ Barrett, the team's leading scorer at 23.8 points per game, is another player that provides clear star value to the team, but also does provide headaches from fans and coaches alike. After his dynamite performance against Kentucky in tandem with Zion, some proclaimed he was the best player on the team, including myself. Due to his prototypical size and length for a true NBA wing, Barrett also has little trouble creating scoring opportunities for himself, so when he's hot like he was against Kentucky, he can look pretty much unstoppable. Similar to Williamson, Barrett is most dangerous when he's coming at you with the ball in his hands. In my opinion, he is the difference that makes this Duke team go from one of the best transition teams in the country to one of the best transition teams I've ever seen at Duke basketball. Although he doesn't appear like the fastest player, when it comes to RJ with the ball in transition, I have not seen a more effective player in Cameron since Kyrie Irving wore blue and white. Unfortunately, my praise does slow down a bit here too as well when discussing RJ in the half court, as he has quickly developed a reputation as a chucker who tends to force the issue to get him out of shooting funks, even if it is at the detriment of his team. Many times he is comfortable settling for difficult 2-point shots or hero ball type 3-point jumpers that only have a prayer of going in. In truth, Barrett simply just isn't that good of a shooter currently at 31% from distance to command that type of green light, and I expect Coach K to dial him back a bit in conference play. Also, from a basketball IQ perspective, I am pretty shocked at some of the gross ineptitude for situation and clock we see from him at times. Take the end of the Texas Tech game for example. Up by 9 with 45 seconds to go, and for some reason we see RJ slash into the paint to take a wild shot instead of holding out to run clock. I mean, what is he thinking there? Clearly this will need cleaning up if Duke has any shot of winning a title. With respect to a player that I think has been a bit forgotten towards the end of non-conference play, Cam Reddish is someone who is looking more like a role player than the number 3 ranked player coming out of high school in his class. Over his last 4 games, Reddish has averaged just 8 points a game on 24% from the field. If Duke is going to overcome their biggest weakness, which is clearly their perimeter shooting, they will absolutely need Reddish to lead in his role as the best pure shooter on this team. Finally, another weakness that is more of a standard characteristic of a classic Duke team is the lack of depth the coaching staff relies on in close matchups. While Jack White, Javin DeLaurier, and Marquise Bolden are counted on for starters minutes at times alongside the 4 freshmen, there is much less confidence in other players who could assist to provide a breather to the main guys. Although Coach K usually scoffs at potential fatigue by the end of the season for teenagers, I would argue this could be a cause for concern later down the road, especially if an injury occurs. Yet, with all those shortcomings outlined and practically having a mini roast session on my squad just now, I still firmly believe Duke remains the best team in the country and has as good a chance as anyone to win the national championship. Anyways guys, that's the video, hope you enjoyed. Just wanted to briefly discuss the challenges that Zion and the Blue Devils will face this season as we hit 2019. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Do you think this Duke team is good enough to win a title without their typical perimeter shooting, or will it come to bite them in the end? Comment your thoughts below. With that said, I'm excited to say I got some dope ideas planned in 2019. Hope everyone has a great rest of the day, or night, or whatever time it is. I'll be back at it soon. Peace out.